What is better than watching the MC grow stronger as the series progresses? Easy. Watching the MC try and exact their revenge towards their enemies or those who betrayed them. So brace yourselves, because these are the top 10 Isekai anime where the OPMC tries to get his revenge. Number 10. Failure Frame. I became the strongest and annihilated everything with low-level spells.
皆さん、あれが E 級負け組配給勇者の姿です。くたばれクソ女神。
We have this masterpiece of a show with a very long title that hurts my lungs whenever I say it out loud. This anime revolves around Toka and his classmates, who were summoned to another world by a goddess so that they could become heroes. But sadly, Toka was deemed too weak because of his magic, which led to a very unfortunate situation. I mean, an isekai-based series sounds neat and all until you end up banished to a very dangerous place, and they leave you there just because you're weak. I mean, the goddess could have just disqualified him as a candidate to begin with and let him live a normal life. Is that so hard? Like, seriously, can you imagine yourself being dragged to another world without your consent, and once you're there, the goddess tells you that you're too weak, and that you should do everyone a favor and just die? I mean, honestly, what is up with that? So naturally, Toka was pissed. I mean, I would be as well if that happened to me. To be fairly honest, pun intended, even I would give everything to beat up that brat of a goddess. Nevertheless, the show itself is filled with brilliant moments of revenge and fight scenes animated to perfection. Number 9. The Rising of the Shield Hero.
Mai, なんでお前そんなこと？俺たち仲間じゃ。
You're fucking ugly. I want to stab you to death, then play around with your blood.
I agree with the saying, revenge is a dish best served cold, because this show did exactly that. The Rising of the Shield Hero has given us one of the best revenge scenes in anime history. The story revolves around Naofumi, whose reputation was destroyed by Malty after she accused him of some unsultry things he didn't do. So what's the most logical thing to do after that? Simple. Get stronger and put everyone in their place. Fortunately for Naofumi, Malty's betrayal led to something good, since he was able to meet lots, and I mean lots, of beautiful ladies. Seeing Malty, a pathological liar, and her dad be exposed for their dirty crimes was one of the most ecstatic moments in the anime. The slave mark really did its job by electrocuting Malty over and over. Not to mention, seeing Malty beg Naofumi to save her was so satisfying. On top of all that, the new names Naofumi gave the king and the princess fit them very well. One minute they were royalty, and the next they became trash, and, well, I can't say the next one for my monetization, but it starts with a B. To sum it up, this one is packed with all sorts of things that you want and more. Beautiful animation, awesome storytelling, beautiful babes, and a stellar revenge story, making it really worth the watch. Number 8. A returner's magic should be special.
あの戦いは、あの地獄は。一体何だったんだ?
Why stop at revenge when you can get back at everyone who did you wrong and save the world at the same time, am I right? It's basically killing two birds with one stone, and that's exactly what happens in this anime. A returner's magic should be special revolves around Desir Herman, a powerful mage who was sent back 10 years in the past after failing to save the entire world from a huge mana explosion. Now Desir finds himself in the past with all of his memories fully intact. This gives him a huge starting point in his goal to save the world. It's bad enough that Desir and his comrades failed to stop that giant explosion that wiped out all life on the world, but this time he has to go to school all over again. And if that's not punishment enough, then I don't know what is. The show is amazing in its own right. The animation and all of Desir's relatable struggles as he relives the pain of going to school all over again. Not to mention, the depth of his character makes him a likable MC even more. Number 7. Reo of Healer. In everyone's eyes, healers are considered one of the weakest classes in every single series and game. Well, that's not the case anymore, because in Reo of Healer, the MC becomes the biggest menace ever. This anime revolves around Kaoru, who specializes in healing. I mean, with a skill like that, you'd think he'd become a valuable asset for the kingdom, but no. Kaoru was subjected to torture and abuse by everyone around him. Unluckily for them though, healing was not his only ability, because it turns out that he can copy the memories and abilities of those he heals. Which means everyone was screwed. It's not really something you'd expect from a healer, so after acquiring enough power, Kaoto rewinds time and begins his plan to take revenge on everyone who made his life miserable. I mean, seriously, after returning to the past, he did not hold back on destroying everyone's lives. Not to mention how good the quality of the animation is, the fan service, and the satisfaction of seeing that spoiled princess get the treatment she deserves, making Reo of Healer one of the best shows out there. Number 6. Overpowered.
どうして僕が苦しまなきゃならないんだ。なぜこんな目に遭ってる。クラスメイトには裏切られた。敵は圧倒的。
Action, fantasy, and adventure, with a sprinkling of betrayal. Just like our MC from Failure Frame, Nagumo, the MC of Arifureta and his classmates were also summoned to another world where he was deemed to be too weak. This time, Nagumo was betrayed by his classmates. I mean, come on, he was already weak. Why betray him? But I guess in some way that turned out to be a good thing for Nagumo, I think. All because when he fell into that abyss, he was able to meet a beautiful vampire lady who became his companion. Oh, and he also grew stronger as he kept on overcoming challenges here and there. I mean, even I would never let that slide. Think about it. After falling into an abyss, Nagumo's life became hell on earth. So yeah, it's understandable that he is pissed beyond reason, and no amount of beautiful ladies will ever calm his nerves. Additionally, it has a lot of depth to it, a lot more than you'd think at the surface. The incredible growth of each character as they overcome challenges really has an impact on the viewer. Not to mention the animation quality is very good and pretty pleasing to the eye, making this show worth a shot. Number 5. Sukamii.
あんた本当にあの二人の子供？ぶっさいくね。面倒。
What's worse than being sold by your parents to a goddess and being transported to another world? Being banished by the very same goddess that took you by force to another world. And no, if you're thinking maybe it's because the MC was super weak, you're wrong. The reason is even more superficial than that. Makoto Misumi was banished because the goddess figured he wasn't her type. I'm not kidding. The goddess took one look at him and said, "This boy is hideous. Banish him." I mean, seriously, just because of that. Now, Makoto is by no means weak, after all. He is legit super strong, worthy of being the hero of his world. Without a doubt, this anime is definitely top tier for so many reasons. Mainly because demi-human ladies eventually started liking him, which is not so relatable. Additionally, the story is somewhat messy, but to my surprise, it actually works, as it adds some weight to the comedy and makes the show pretty enjoyable. Number 4. Spirit Chronicles. Now, here's an anime that will have you wanting more. Spirit Chronicles is about Haruto, who died in an unfortunate accident and was reincarnated in another world as Reo. Okay, so before Haruto died, he always wanted to seek revenge against the people who killed his mother, and with him being reincarnated in another world, he was fortunate enough to still have that desire. But I mean, come on, what's the point, right? He's in another world. There's no way of returning to Japan. Holding on to those feelings seems kind of pointless, right? But soon after he was reincarnated, his MC luck starts off strong as he stops the kidnapping of 2 princesses and is awarded the chance to join a prestigious magic academy, which turned out to be a lame reward since he's being bullied for being a peasant in Royal Magic Academy. It's nothing new really, that's basically normal in anime, but it is basically the first isekai anime I've seen where the MC has an identity crisis, giving the isekai genre a kind of breath of fresh air. Additionally, this show shines in combining romance, action, some revenge, and harem in an entertaining way. Number 3. Dead Mount Death Play.
殺すわけだし。
はい。
ねえねえ、さっきその喉をこれでえぐり切ったのに。なんで君まだ生きてるのかな。
From Rar to a Pookie Bear. Our guy is reversely reincarnated from a world of magic where he was known as the Corpse God, but to modern-day Japan, where he is known as Polka Shinuyama. I mean, come on, from Corpse God to Polka. Really? It's no wonder a lot of characters from his anime want him dead. He just looks a lot different, like he could never be a threat or crack a finger. But jokes aside, this series is awesome on so many levels. Now I gotta say, at first it doesn't seem to be that different from other isekai shows, but I was pretty wrong, because as the story progresses, the overpowered MC plot only actually applies at the beginning of the story. This for me is a pretty unique approach to the isekai genre, where the MC is usually too powerful. I mean, seriously, after being born as a polka, the MC is pretty heavily nerfed. Plus, the animation and pacing of the series are just perfect. Number 2. The Eminence in Shadow.
我らはシャドウガーデン、影に潜み、影を狩る者。我らはただそれだけのためにある。
And we have one of the most famous anime to date. The Eminence in Shadow revolves around Sid, a very powerful swordsman who's on the path of destroying the cult of Diablos. But before Sid became who he is now, he was once Minoru Kagano, a normal student during the daytime from Japan who loved to play hero by beating up biker gangs during the night. I mean, the kid's gotta think he's Batman or something. Unfortunately, his vigilante gig did not last long because Truck-kun had other plans for him and ran him right over. This led him to being reborn in another world where he became the head of an organization known as Shadow Garden. Now, this series is peak for so many reasons. First of all, the animation is godly. How they execute the fight scenes, the world building, and all those special effects always leaves me breathless. And don't even get me started on the sound design. They use some spectacular sound effects and staging, which, seriously, will give you some eargasms. Take my advice, give the show a go. And if you don't get goosebumps on the I Am Atomic scene, just honestly, cut off your ears. Number 1. The Saga of Tanya the Evil. Finally, saving the best for last, I give you the Saga of Tanya the Evil. Before becoming Tanya, our MC was once a salaryman from Japan who was also an atheist. His constant disbelief of God's existence eventually pissed off the deity. I mean, seriously, he even called gods Being X. So, in retaliation, God allows the salaryman to be reborn in an alternate world as Tanya Degarechev, an orphaned girl from Imperial Germany. I mean, talk about over-the-top punishment. Long story short, God curses her, saying that if she doesn't die a natural death or believe in God, then her soul will be condemned to hell for eternity. For the love of all things amazing, it's safe to say that this anime is immaculate. The plot is nothing short of amazing. I mean, come on, having the setting be pre-World War I is such an amazing concept, which gives it a sense of uniqueness unlike other isekai shows that focus on magic and fantasy. Not to mention, Tanya's brutality and the execution of the action scenes is just perfect. So if you're a fan of isekai with a twist, then this series certainly is worth your time. And there you have it, the top 10 isekai anime where the OPMC tries to get his revenge. As usual, subscribe, like that video, comment on what I should do next, help Papa Honest out so I can make better videos for you guys. See you on the next one.